I'd like to acknowledge that I'm reading today from the unceded ancestral territories of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples, known today as the Esquimalt and Songhees nations. Nations who lived here for thousands of years before colonization. The tidal flats here were fishing camps and shell harvesting sites extending all the way around the Empress. The Lekwungen territory goes from the southern tip of Vancouver Island to the San Juans and the Gulf Islands. Yesterday when I was here, there were 3 deer walking across the tidal flats. Given that we're on a tidal flat, I'll read a poem related to that. Intertidal zone. When I close my eyes, a tidal pool appears. A little trapped world swims behind my eyelids. All the creatures you'd expect to be there are there. Sea urchins, plankton, invertebrates, the things left stranded when the tide goes out. As a child, I counted to 100 while the others hid. "Where are you?" I called out. Nobody answered in the lengthening shadows. Have you not learned by now that you can't force it? That what wants to stay hidden stays hidden? I'm happiest with my eyes closed. Some floaters wave as they pass by. One that looks just like my brother winks as it drifts by with the jerky movements of a seahorse. I chose to read at these stairs because they became really important during the pandemic to me. When it first started, when we were isolated, Patrick and I started walking the neighborhood. We'd leave our home in the rail yards and walk through the streets of Vic West. It was in the days where you'd see the hearts in the windows and the signs for healthcare workers in the yards, and the streets were deserted. And we never knew when we headed out what we'd find. One day we found the market garden on Catherine Street with its room dedicated to chocolate and its wall of spices, and in the early days when you couldn't get flour or yeast anywhere, the market garden had it and we were baking bread. And then one day I thought I would like to find some stairs. Just thought the exercise would be great, and took a turn we hadn't taken before and found these stairs. And at first they were fantastic for exercise. There's 150 stairs up, 150 down. We got up to 5, sometimes 10 repetitions. But it began to change, and the stairs became more important, and they became actually what felt like a spiritual place to come to during the pandemic when we couldn't see people. There were normally deer here every time. You can see the trails when you look through here. You can see places that the deer lie down. I'm surprised there aren't any here today, but it's a cold morning. So I'll read a poem that has a little bit to do with that for me. Deliberations. The veil of worlds thins as we grow older. We see less of one and more of the other. The last time I visited the cemetery, 3 deer followed me slowly from grave to grave. Watchful, they pretended to be grazing, but I didn't fall for it. Ungracious of me not to believe they were a blessing, to refuse to entertain, unlike Hughes, the possibility that they were waiting for me to remember the password and the sign. The jury is still out. It was never a question of hard evidence. The dead pray their hearts will not testify against them. Deliberations are taking longer than expected. All the witnesses called on my behalf are strangers. A couple of months ago, we brought our friends Terence and Patricia Young to the stairs, and Terence went home and wrote a fantastic story called The Stairs. In the story, there's all kinds of people. There's Franciscan friars and paramedics and people in regalia walking up and down the stairs, and grandfathers and grandmothers. And it's always felt since that, also his late mother and Patricia's late father were here. Everybody was invited in. And so since that time when I've come to when we've walked the stairs, it's always felt a little bit crowded. And it's also felt like anything can happen here. The next poem I'll read came out of that thinking of anything can happen, At the same time, we were waiting for our daughter's baby to be born, and we would walk these stairs and wonder if we were going to hear. So this poem comes out of that kind of thinking. Gestation. I started waiting too soon. Snowdrops and tulips gave way to summer as light lengthened and time slowed. There was a sameness to the days. Each morning at 10, the tide lapped the high water mark on the stone steps, and each evening, stars shone above the observatory. I was filled not with the excitement of one waiting at a train station, but with the darkness of a swaddled night. It couldn't last, of course. Something had to give. If I could wake as a bird and learn to fly while falling, anything could happen. The baby could arrive, or my father take his last breath. My brother might return with news of where he's been all these years. The trick, said the mime, peeling an imaginary tangerine, is not to pretend something is here, but to forget it isn't. One of the walks that Patrick and I went on along the E&N, it's this trail here, goes out past the Naden and the Esquimalt Songhees reserves, was by the graffiti wall. And one day, when we were locked down, couldn't be inside with anyone, my daughter came over with her partner, and he's a graffiti artist, and he painted a mural here. So it was a great day. We spent just hanging out, listening to music, having coffee, and watching him paint. And I would love to have read in front of his painting, but what I didn't know is that they all get, different artists come and the paintings get painted over. Joe told me it's an ephemeral art. Graffiti's not meant to last. And I thought that was more Zen-like than I normally think of graffiti. So I'll read Joe's poem. A Painter's Sky. Joe sets out to paint the sky. His ladder extends through the troposphere, upwards through the ozone hole in the attic of the stratosphere, all the way to the rippled sand dunes of the mesosphere. We watch him climb until he is indistinguishable from the common cranes flying above the Himalayas. On Earth his puppy whines, inconsolable. We can tell the sky is parched by the way it sucks up the base coat, leaving uneven roller ridges and patches of blue. When he's done, in December, all traces of the previous tenants will be gone. Snow will fall from a paper white sky. His hand, by then, an old man's hand, beautiful, with veins running like swollen streams. Process. For 10 years now, I've written the same line, erased it, and written it over again. In this way, I have filled hundreds of notebooks. Each day, I get closer to Giacometti's fine filigree of nothing, the fretwork of the mind. My masterpiece will return music to the shuttered symphony center. Descending from the evening sky, it will break open into 150,000 birds, alighting like some great airborne beast onto the outstretched arms of waiting trees. In the forest, flautists are warming up in soundproof huts. It's only a matter of hours now. The work went well this morning. As is often the case, sorrow entered with a flutter. A hand darkened the sun, and I was left wondering, who will feed the animals when the hunger arrives?